Good afternoon, Keepers of the Cash. You may be wondering why two intros? Because we are doing a mashup today. This is a special Savage Saturday comic review slash the 1011. Before we get to our main guest of honor, though, we're going to introduce my co-host, John's Comics with Kids. You guys all know him. John, how you doing today, sir?
I'm just super grateful to be here. This is very exciting to get a European connection here.
Right. And of course, making his 1011 Savage Saturday debut. You've seen him on my channel before. It's been a while since we've been able to work together, but we still talk on the weekly. And this is, of course, our buddy Thorsten over from Austria. How you doing today, sir?
Very well. We only have one problem. You announced me with my real name, Thorsten, which means that today I'm less edgy and less cursing because I'm not in character.
You can be edgy and cursing.
Maybe some people think it's like, hey, it's not actually that sort of an asshole.
I have confidence we can get you to full asshole mold. Yeah. We can work on it. We got an hour.
Yeah, just show me like a book by Moretti and like
right. We already got Magic Lasso in there saying hi to us and VB Donut Time.
No, just protein today. Just protein.
And I just had a protein coffee. It was really good.
Oh, nice. Yeah, just a protein chips downstairs because I'm watching bodybuilding. It's just a break of the New York Pro, so it's ideal to go live.
So now I want to address like one of the good morning, Dale. One of the issues with us over here doing shows with you guys, it's always a time thing, right? The time difference is always a killer.
Yes, Saturday it's of course better because it's the weekend, and especially your Saturday show is like a 6 p.m. here, so that is really a nice time. And since I'm a comic book collector, I listen to music, I watch bodybuilding online. It's not like I'm having a life, so so I'm also having to can always take time out of the day.
Right now, for those who don't know you, Thorsten, give a quick little pitch on who you are. I know you don't do the YouTube anymore because of the laws over there in your country, which make it just too difficult to bother with. But you do have an Instagram. Give as a precursor to what we're going to see today. Give them a little bit about who you are as a collector and what they can expect.
Yeah, first of all, if you don't know me, good for you. Lucky. But yeah, I'm most active now, of course, on Instagram, and otherwise I am on Sean Stay Puff Comics 83's channel. So every Friday we're talking about movies. It's always a big fun.
I always say Stay Puft too. Damn Ghostbusters got us straight.
I know, it's like since it changed his channel name, it's tough to but it's always a big fun. And otherwise,
that's where I remember first finding your stuff was through Sean. And like you guys picked the funnest movies. You have a great like you were just doing King of New York the other day.
It was so good.
And it was your first time seeing that Christopher Walken film, and yeah, I really enjoy those combos.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I think the good thing about it is basically Sean and I were like twins.
True. You guys have the exact same taste. I love it.
The same taste. So we have the exact same taste, like in high quality movies, but also like in B, C Italian exploitation movies. So it's always.
I was gonna say you guys are twins, like Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito are twins. No, it's funny though. You guys, well, it's fun because that was a relationship you didn't really expect to mean as much as it does, right? You guys hooked up together, and it happens a lot on YouTube. All of a sudden, you find someone that likes the same things as you. Next thing you know, you guys are hanging out all the time, and you had that Step Brothers moment, right? Did we just become best friends?
Exactly. That was like that. We were following each other on Instagram like for a long time because he always posting of Conan books. I'm posting Conan books, and then was suddenly, when I was invited on a Rod's channel and he was invited on Rod's channel, then we finally like, hey, it's good to see you for the first time. And then we talked about, hey, let's do a show together, and this is where the magic started.
Well, it's funny too because the first time I ever saw John's name was in one of your chats. That's how I first became aware of you, John. You weren't on my radar. I saw your name in one of Vivi's chats.
And I remember the hilarity of Rod trying to pronounce Vivi's name. Every time he did it, it was different. It was different every time. Every time Rod says it, it's different.
And the funny thing is, because like I don't know how you pronounce the name, it's like, and they're like, it's English.
That's the joke. Was like he's like, it's not Austrian. He's not speaking Austrian.
It's not German. Like because Varangian would be Variger in German. So it's like it's like it's even in English.
So funny.
It's funny too, because like when I talk to you, I just accept the fact that if I'm talking about a foreign artist or something, I know I'm saying their name wrong and it's just not a natural part of my dialect. Like I say Mahmoud Azrar, it's like Mahmoud Azrar or something like that, right? Mahmoud, yes. Yeah. But I accept that I don't know the proper. And if I said Mahmoud over here, people go, who?
Yeah, exactly. And also like it really doesn't matter. And it always adds a little bit of fun to it. It's like for saving my own life, my Teutonic tongue could not pronounce a French name right. Like it's impossible. It's like
well, French is a really difficult language. They throw in extra letters that they don't pronounce on purpose. Like there's a lot of extra letters you don't need.
Exactly. You know how French was created. It's basically, let's fuck up the Latin language.
All right, so we are here to see some Savage books from your collection, and haven't known you a while now. I know you got some primo Savage books, but we're not here about money. We're not here about value. We're here about personal favorites.
It's the dollar book extravaganza.
Right. So I hope that you had a good time looking through your collection again and picking out some books that really meant something to you. And I think without further ado, man, let's get to your first book and talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, let's begin. Actually,
John, jump in whenever you like, sir.
Yeah.
I know I'm a bully when I'm talking. Just tell me to shut up once in a while.
Yeah, let's go back to the time when I was just a very little Varangian. Like luckily I grew up with comics. My dad was reading comics, so my dad was mostly reading the German translations from the Silver Age Marvel comics. So I grew up, of course, with Thor comics, with Fantastic Four comics, Spider-Man comics, but also it's like it's not an exhibition like.
There's room enough in Conan for both of us, damn it.
But what I always really loved, and this was also basically my entry into fantasy, was of course German folk tales and like our mythology. And my favorite saga of all times, which also inspired Tolkien with the Lord of the Rings a little bit, is the Nibelungen Saga. You may know the adaptation from Richard Wagner in the opera section later, with you all know the Ride of the Valkyries.
Right, the Valkyries.
Exactly. That's all that stems from this mythology. And also Disney had this deal in Europe, which they still do. So basically we are but in Italy they're creating their own Disney stories. So it was always so strange for me when I was seeing on TV Disney, the American one, like this is so different to the Disney that I grew up with.
That's so interesting.
Because we have like this from Italy, this in German lustiges Taschenbuch, which basically means funny paperback. And it's Topolino, I think, in Italy. So you have a lot of Italian creators who take European myths and retelling them with the characters.
Love it. Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah. So you have like here, and this is not the one that I grew up with. This is reprinted, but I still have to, because this is the original cover, which I love more.
Right.
And I just have to buy it on eBay. It's like $2-3. It's not expensive. So, but these books are still coming out every month. So
they look the same size as like an Archie reader,
Yeah.
Archie
Digest,
digest.
yeah.
I love the digest size. I used to always beg for those when I was a kid in the supermarket. You know.
Oh yeah, my girls love them too.
Now, is that your first book, Thorsten?
It's not my first book, but it's
okay.
like the first book that comes to my mind when I think about my childhood.
That's awesome.
Yeah, see, I love that because it looks like the classic newsprint, the way the pages were set up. Like it has that 70s feel to it.
And here's a great thing. So it's basically like Scrooge McDuck is like Dago Wotan. Donald is Signalti, which would be actually Siegfried in the real saga. So, and you also have all the characters like in the mythology of the Nibelungen Saga. So I don't know how. I think I read this story once a week when I was a kid, and so it was a very good time here with comics. I still think that especially the Italian Disney books is still very popular here. You know, when you go grocery shopping, you have them like Prime there.
I went back and my mom was moving out of her house and she had all like these boxes of old books that we read when we were kids. And I found a bunch of choose your own adventures, like
I used to love those
Indiana Jones ones and stuff. And I was shocked to find that a couple of them were written by the guy who created Goosebumps, the author of all the Goosebumps books,
R.L. Stine.
Yeah, he wrote Choose Your Own Adventures apparently earlier in his career, and I was like, oh, I got to keep these now. I got to hold on to these forever. Like,
I love the Choose Your Own Adventure books.
But they got these great Indiana Jones covers on them, and then R.L. Stine wrote them. I was like, this is so cool.
Yeah, we also had them with a role-playing system here, the Schwarze Auge, which is the most famous. It is basically a German D&D, and they also had like the adventures you can play as a group, you know, with a dungeon master and everything. But they also had adventures that were choose your own adventure, which you can take your character that you usually play within a group, and you can use them for the solo adventure. Which was always a very good way to level up your characters between role-playing sessions.
All right, now let's see that book. I'm curious.
So next book, this is the first ever US single issue that I bought.
Oh,
you know, I have here like lots of trade paperbacks. When I start, of course, like when I grew up as a kid, we had like the German translations here.
Right.
But very soon on, I was not interested in reading translations because always something gets lost in translation. So basically for me this was still like 1999 around that, when I was started, you know, to ask my parents, hey, can I go to can I go into the store because I really want to order that VHS from the UK because I want to see it in English. This was like before DVD. So, which also was... Luckily, it was actually way too early that I think my first VHS I got in English was from Dusk Till Dawn.
Oh, nice. Yeah. That's a great one.
It's a good one, yeah.
That's fantastic.
And this is like when I watch it and I realized it's like the German movies are also sort of censored by translation because sometimes when the swear words are like a little bit milder.
Mm-hmm.
And this is when I started, hey, no, from now on, when you get something, get it in English. So, hey, Damien. So for a long time, actually, I had like a pause in reading comics. But when I went to university later on, I was always in the train for 2 hours a day when I went to the university.
Oh, wow.
And you either have the choice of sleeping, doing something for university, or reading something else. And then I thought, actually, you know, let's get back into comics.
Right.
I like that plan.
And this was like, you know, when Dark Horse had the Conan license, like, hey, I love Conan, I love fantasy, so let's see what they're doing with Conan these days. So I really enjoyed the Dark Horse run, but I was reading everything in trade paperback. Actually, at this point of time, since this was I was not on social media before, and I was not really researching. I thought, hey, finally they're bringing comic books out like in thicker format, so you have the whole story in one. So I thought actually trade paperbacks were the regular, were now like the regular release of comics, until I went on social media and suddenly I saw like a post of the comic is like, hey, that the book is not coming out here until like in 4 months. Like, how is like the story show out? And it's like, they're having periodicals and then collecting them in trade paperbacks. So then when I started was like, actually the first was inspiration of Cover By, because at the end of the Dark Horse run, they did this crossover with Wonder Woman and Conan. Yep. And I loved the art by Liam Sharp. And when I saw this cover in the preview, I was like, I have to find out where I can get this cover. And this is where I stumbled upon a comic book shop in Germany where you can get your US pull list online, and once a month they're delivering to you.
Nice.
So this is when I decided, okay, you switch from trade paperbacks to single issues, because I absolutely love this.
And I was surprised at how much I liked that 6-issue series.
It was really good, because actually you would think with Gail Simone, it's like, might be a little bit tough to read, but this was still back in the day when I think she was not spamming Twitter. Yeah, Ryan, some Wonder Woman action for you. Actually, this is also I also bought later one that I AOK'd to Ryan, so he also has that book.
Yeah, it's funny too, because I got the floppies of that, plus I had the hardcover, and plus I got sent as an AOK an original sketch cover, which I think I've
seen that one. That's a beautiful one.
Yeah, you can't really show it on here because of the.
Yeah.
But
yeah, this is just the definition in the arms. Liam Sharp is one of the best modern artists. Like, he's been around since Marvel UK. So, and this is like 90s, 80s.
Well, and on that cover, there's actually a lot going on, because like the way the shadows create a heart between the two of them.
Exactly.
Back to back,
and you also have he has so much detail, and he's a fantastic artist. And so this is really cover this is basically a cover where I was like, I have to get into single issues, because I'm not sure that this is going to be the cover of the trade, which of course also was not the cover of the trade. So this is when it basically drew me in, and this is when the whole shit started.
All over, huh?
this is like when this and all the stuff you can't see there.
Rabbit hole fully engaged.
Nice. Because of course in the beginning it's it is like, I have never taken drugs, but this is like exactly how everybody describes drugs. It's like a beginning. It's like, hey, I'm just buying the new stuff, because I will never ever find every old Conan book here. Well, now I'm sitting here with the whole Conan.
I've always had the issue with a lot of the Conan I read when I was little were the magazine size, and
the Savage Sword, yeah.
I struggle to store all the magazine books. I don't have enough of the magazine size boxes. Do you end up having to get like a ton of those just to be able to store them?
That's it's not a problem to get the magazine size boxes. The other good thing is, since in Europe we have the French album size usually, which is larger.
Yeah.
So actually the magazines also, like, I have to say, because I have some, maybe you can see here in the back, I have some UK Savage Sword of Conan Adventures books, like in the back, and they can also really nicely arrange them in normal cupboards.
Okay, good.
But yeah, it's like still, I need new shelves.
Look amazing, anyway. And they're all gorgeous. The magazine interior art was always so fantastic. But
the Earl, especially like the Earl Norham covers.
So they ended up getting ruined so quickly in my collection, because I was always trying to put them sideways and
but also
they just got destroyed.
Yeah, but also this adds to the charm. It's nothing bad in, of course, having like a pristine, like high grade book, but I never care about, like, as long as the cover is intact and is not hanging for its dear life on there.
Yeah, right.
I don't have a problem. Sometimes sometimes color breaking ticks and stuff, they add to the charm of the book.
Yeah.
Or
Well,
the
nowadays,
vintage look of it too. Sometimes,
Yeah.
right? It feels.
Well, nowadays, Damien, I think it's so easy to order these things online. But when I was a kid, like my LCS did not have magazine size boxes. And my current shop, I don't think even has the magazine size boxes.
Really? 'Cause I'm lucky. My shop does. I have like 11 of them right there full of magazines.
Nice.
Yeah.
Look, I have the whole Savage Sword one over there.
The other thing is what I'm using for some of my magazines, which actually it's better than the normal size books, is when you buy the from BBW, the plastic ones for slabs.
Yes, the white plastic ones with the black tops on.
The blacks, that you can fold up and down.
Yeah, the big heavy plastic.
Yeah.
For slabs,
when you buy those for trades, the magazines fit perfectly in there.
Nice.
So just for you, Thorsten, I broke it out and I had to put a strategic sticker.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
But,
when people ask, hey, where is Conan? Conan drew it.
Right. Well, that was the thing, right? Conan was always like irresistible to the women, and even Wonder Woman was falling for his charms.
Yeah,
naturally, I mean, even when they brought Conan into the official Marvel timeline with Avengers No Road Home or No Way Home, like Scarlet Witch almost fell for Conan's charm.
And that was one of the better covers too, with her and him on the horse.
So good. I
think and you would think those two characters would mix, and they were so good together.
It was so well written. It was by Jim Sapp, and I think that covered you. I think that was the second print. That was a really great cover. But yeah, for today, I was also like choosing to say, let's show something that the next book is the exception from this.
let's see it. Bring it on out.
This is not the first appearance of Retsuna, but it's her first cover appearance. And it's just one of my favorite covers of all time.
Same here. One of the best covers in comic book history.
And what a great use of color too, because like it's so they pop out, the two of them, so well amidst the horde that they're battling. I think they just the color is so well utilized.
Yeah, Barry Windsor Smith cover, and I absolutely love Barry Windsor Smith Red Sonja. This was before her chainmail bikini, which I also love the chainmail bikini.
Yeah, see,
it doesn't make practical sense, but it makes visual sense.
Yeah.
Right, but that's my favorite outfit of hers ever, the one on this cover.
This is also the book I have the most times in my collection. So I have it. I have 3 US versions, then twice the UK cover variant. I have
you sent me a foreign one too.
Yeah, I sent you one of the Spanish ones. I also have the Spanish one. I have the Italian one. With the different covers, I have some UK reprints. So it's like every time I see this book and something like, I have to get it.
Actually, yes, Damien. I'm like, they must just smell like puke and piss and shit.
Yep. That's like the good thing that you can't. I mean, you can smell comics, but you can't smell what's going on in comics.
Yeah.
It's just like it's just a room pregnant by testosterone and
and I just love that story too, and I especially like the reprint of it in the Treasury edition, because you just had the panels are oversized, they're beautiful, the art really stands out, it's incredible.
Let's focus a little here, Ken. But yeah, I personally really love. Have I sent you the UK big one? The magazine size UK one, because this is in black and white. And I also absolutely love this story in black and white.
Oh, I don't think I've seen the black and white one.
Okay, then I have to look if I can find another one somewhere. I think I gifted one to Unruly. Yeah.
So
after a while you lose track, like what you okay to.
I do that too, because I'll go to send something out. Did I already send them this? And I'm thinking about it. So Gore and Damien got something funny going on, because Wonder Woman apparently has a daughter now in comics, and they're saying it could be Conan as a father. But Gore's trying to get a paternity test out of Conan.
Yeah. First of all, it's like the rights back to different.
Right. Number 4, good sir.
the next one is actually interesting because this was not originally a cover. This is actually a reprint of a wonderful pin-up in Savage Tales number, I think 3. Yeah, Savage Tales number 3, which is the first appearance of the chainmail bikini. A lot of sources are getting it wrong and say that Savage Sword of Conan issue number 1 is the first chainmail bikini. No, but it's Savage Tales issue number 3. It's a little bit up to debate because the chainmail bikini is not a chainmail bikini by design, but by effect of battle. And right. it was the first depiction was done by Esteban Maroto, one of my most favorite artists of all time. And this is actually the first. This is like a reprint of the pinup from Savage Tales issue number 3.
Nice.
And this is the first chainmail bikini.
Oh, nice.
As you can see, it's not a chainmail bikini because she wants to wear a chainmail bikini. It's like it's an armor, but the armor is so battered down that it is a chainmail bikini.
So it's a good thing she didn't take any sword hits to the chest or buttocks region.
You'd think with those giant targets, she'd have been hit there, but
yeah. So Esteban Maroto created the chainmail bikini, and it's
Savage. It's something I have to correct people on all the time.
Mm-hmm. I know, but the problem is that a lot of so-called reliable sources get it wrong. Like Key Collector Comics gets stuff wrong all the time, especially with
CGC too.
CGC does. Yeah, label. Like it's like I love this book to no end. It's probably in the top 3 favorite covers of all time. This is not the first full appearance of Red Sonja, and CBS and CGC stated as now Red Sonja appears in over 20 panels in issue number 23. And
what's up, Werewolf by Lunchtime?
Hey,
right,
Australia.
And like you and I discussed it before, she's throughout that whole story. There's not a cameo.
Yeah, she's not a side character. She's not there in cameo. It's just almost it feels like none of these people are reading the comics. They're just copying what once somebody told. So
yeah.
But hey, it's. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of slapping anyway. I mean, if somebody wants to slap it, of course, it's everyone's own choice. But personally, I don't trust these companies enough with my books, and I also don't have trust in the research.
Right. Well, I think I have a 9.8 of this on the way back to me in the new case.
Which is actually, that's a fun fact. I mean, first of all, it's of course cool to have a 9.8, but they discovered so many Savage Sword of Conan's number 1 in a warehouse. They were in pristine, so actually it's like this really dumped down the prices for 9.8s for Savage Sword of Conan.
I think, Thorsten, that's one of the reasons I like that we collect Conan, right? It's one of the affordable collections. Like the books, not only are the books fantastic and the reads are incredible, but it's not like collecting a Batman or a Spider-Man or a Superman or an Iron Man. It's affordable.
Yeah, that's affordable. That's an interesting byproduct, of course, in being like in a niche genre like sword and sorcery.
Yeah, the only one that is missing from my collection that I'll probably never own is that Savage Tales 1 because of the stupid man thing. It's like $1,000 book.
I was so lucky that I got it. This is actually a book I have slapped here.
Exactly, David.
But the only reason I have it slapped here is because it was the cheapest one out there.
Do you think that because so many of the issues, at least the ones I read when I was a kid, were black and white, that impacted the popularity in the U.S. at all? Because I know U.S. people can be really, they're the same people that don't want to read subtitles and see a black and white movie or whatever.
I don't know, because to me that was like the thing to get when I was a kid. Like I couldn't wait for Savage Sword of Conan. Like every time I could get my hands on one, and I don't know. I think they had their niche time in the 70s.
Sure.
And I know what you're saying about most Americans. I'm the opposite. Like every time I watch a foreign movie, I love them.
Yeah.
I don't ever watch it dubbed. It's always in the
God.
original language with subtitles. Because if it's not in the original language, you lose part of the feel of the movie. The
You
characters
lose
don't
the
feel authentic
performance is
to
what
you.
you lose.
I really think that, of course, it's a very fun stereotype, and I'm making a lot of jokes, of course, about the American style. For example, of course, what is the difference between the USA and yogurt?
I don't know.
When you leave yogurt alone for 200 years, it grows a culture.
Amazing.
That's a good one.
Oh my god.
But I do have to say, even though sometimes presented, Europe is not that cultivated. It's the same here, it's just the general populace, like it's also here, like they don't want to have the movies in the original, they're watching the translations, they don't want to read subtitles. I just think that's like the mainstream audience that doesn't want to be bothered.
Well, it seemed always more mature when I found them, just like some of those like Punisher magazines that they had from Marvel that were black and white. They seemed more mature and more adult, like a Black Label or something. So I always, as a kid, I was always like, "Ooh, this is kind of risque. Like, what am I going to get into here?"
Yeah, see,
I always love black and white.
There.
I always love black and white. The weird thing about it, sometimes when you see some European translation, they were colored here.
See, Gore is exactly me, Gore. I was that kid. I was
same here, but my dad didn't care. My dad was like, my kid likes movies.
No, my parents didn't care either.
In Italy, they recolored some Vampirella comics. I also gifted one to Jeff, which is so interesting to see, how this also that's in general, all the comics back in the day, they came from the US here to be reprinted in Europe and translated. They all came here black and white.
Right. Oh, so like that one you sent me up here, Thorsten, where
the French one,
where they arranged the panels and art differently.
Exactly. So to arrange it, of course, for the formatty and to recolor it. That's sometimes where in Spain and Italy, sometimes Red Sonja has blonde hair.
Right, which is funny.
Yeah.
Because I see that and all I think of is Gita.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, and as we're talking about Red
Sonja then?
It's worth going back
once a month.
What's that? As we're talking about Red Sonja, go back a couple Savage Saturday comic reviews and check out Stephanie's Red Sonja cosplay. She was spot on.
Oh, nice. I've seen it once. I think I think in a chat when she had a
Red Sonja she did a great job with it. But so yeah, the
blonde
always threw me off.
Talking about Jeff, talking about Vampirella,
and also too, Thorsten, when they would change the complete colors of a costume, it'd be like something blue, then all of a sudden you see like purple and yellow, and it doesn't go together at all.
I actually really liked the blue costume, and I was so happy when Dynamite brought out the Red Sonja Blue and follow up the Red Sonja Unchained miniseries by Peter V. Brett, which is still one of the best Dynamite stories about Red Sonja. So I said,
that's saying something because there's not a lot of good ones there.
I have a sweet spot for the blue furry.
Right. Well, I always call that the Mary Wilshire outfit.
Yeah, Mary Wilshire, fantastic artist.
Although I think John Buscema drew it first for the 2-issue special.
Yeah, it was like the 2-issue special, the 2-issue run.
Yes.
Red Sonja Volume 2.
Well, they call it the second series, but it's 2 issues. Yeah. Like, why are you calling it a series?
Exactly. But everything is better than the Marvel 90s Red Sonja one shot.
Yeah. Oh, I have the scavenger hunt.
Yes.
I have it. That one's rough.
It's a rough one, yeah.
But the Mary Wilshire run is underrated.
Yeah, absolutely underrated.
That was a decent run.
And also, don't think that one has ever been reprinted. I mean, you can pick up the whole run probably for $10 somewhere. But I think next month or in July, finally Dynamite prints a hardcover Red Sonja omnibus for the classic tales.
Right, it's so nice. And then, all right, so let's get to number 5.
Oh yeah, which like I said in the pre-show, I also really only wanted to pick one cover artist per choice. Otherwise, like I said, could have gotten 10 Frank Thorne books here.
Right.
So I just went now with my favorite depiction of Red Sonja by Frank Thorne. Love Frank Thorne, favorite artist. Rest in peace. Love the guy to no end. and it's Marvel feature with Sonya.
So good.
Issue number 4, and this is.
Great
I
cover.
also have the statue of this over there. I don't want to bring it now because I would probably drop it.
Yeah, that series with him was great.
That was so fantastic.
I think except for the first cover was Dick Giordano, wasn't it?
Yes.
And what a great use of the background by using that blue and white background so that she just pops out again.
And I always think the teeth look a little bit like a 666 in the background.
Oh, I never saw that.
Which could totally possibly be with Frank Thorne because he loved to put stuff like that in there. Dynamite is licensing it from the Liebermans. Like Arthur Lieberman back in the day made a deal with Conan Properties to divide the Conan Red Sonja right, and now his son Luke Lieberman is owning the Red Sonja IP. So they had this deal that basically Red Sonja can use everything from the Hyborian Age, except of course the characters except of course for Conan.
Right, Conan, Billy, Zulu, those characters that are.
This is crazy because I still think that a lot of things are happening without anybody noticing, because I have no idea why Red Sonja can use Kulan Gath so off this enemy, because it's a Marvel character. Kulan Gath was created.
Kala's over at Titan Comics now with Conan.
It's basically Kala is also, it's all other properties except for Red Sonja. With Conan Properties, with a fantastic signature, and Fred Malmberg is the president of it. But the other thing is, most of them are also public domain. So in Europe, at least, so in Europe, you can use them as you wish because they're public domain. With Red Sonja, of course, it's a little bit different, I think, since she was only the original Red Sonja Florgatino has nothing to do with this Red Sonja. Like the original Red Sonja Florgatino was a historical fiction story by Robert E. Howard.
A whole different time period.
Yeah, it was in it was in 7th century in Europe, especially in my country, in Vienna. So Vienna was besieged by the Ottoman Empire, and Red Sonja fought with the German troops against the Turks.
Right, she had a rapier and a pistol, which
exactly.
Red Sonja, as she appears there, is a Roy Thomas creation. He matched up Red Sonja and Dark Agnes together that character.
Exactly.
And for anyone out there who hasn't read the original Swordswoman stories, you guys are missing out.
Yeah, I mean with the rights thing, it's actually so crazy, because even though Marvel is owned by like the giant Disney, there's still a lot of stuff where they have actually no idea. For example, with the Multiverse of Madness movie, they had they wanted to have Shuma-Gorath in it.
Right, but they had to rename them.
They didn't have to rename them. That's the thing. That's so funny, because Shuma-Gorath is an original Robert E. Howard creation. But the thing is, I was talking with the rights owner, with Fred Malmberg, like we wrote in a direct message, and I asked him, has Marvel or has Disney even asked you? And he's like, nobody asked him if they can use it or not. Because also the fun thing is, if it's like if the rights, if it's not public domain at this point, are still with Conan Properties International, Marvel Comics themselves were still publishing comics with Shuma-Gorath in it. Right. So basically, I mean, comics comics oftentimes with
there's some gray areas.
Yeah.
With rights.
So basically, it's like the old thing. It's like it's not forbidden to do something. It's just forbidden to be caught.
better to ask forgiveness than permission. Is that what it is?
Kulan Gath was a Roy Thomas creation. But it's like the next thing is also, of course, the when things cross over with Moorcock's Elric of Melnibourne.
Right.
There's the next thing. When people say that Conan issue number 14 is the first Elric of Melnibourne in comics. No, it was published in comics in France before that. So the first appearance of Elric is not Conan issue number 14. It was a French comic book.
Huh.
Which I'm still hunting and I can't find it.
with all these IPs too, it makes it hard for collected editions. So like we were talking about Backstage, a lot of the collected editions, like you'll miss they can't reprint certain issues because of mixed IP, which is tough.
Right.
That's why I'm also telling everybody, get the Savage Avengers Omnibus now. They will never be able to reprint that one.
Right.
I think a lot.
Go ahead, John.
A lot of TV shows have the same problem when they want to now print DVDs, or they want to stream it somewhere. Shows like Quantum Leap or whatever that had all this music rights. Now they can't get away with it. So you'll have I remember watching Quantum Leap, and it was like you can watch these 3, and then they miss a couple, and then you can watch the next 4.
Yeah, that's too late, Elric. I'm still hunting for it. I'm still researching it. I know that it exists, but also it's.
So then, what would you recommend for someone wanting to read and get into Conan? Like, where do they go? Where do they start? Where do they get those collected editions?
I mean, they're out
there.
Now that they're out there, yeah. But
the Chronicles of Conan.
Yeah. First of all, I would recommend to go. I love the Marvel run, but if you never had anything to do with Conan, get the first Dark Horse run. That is very well collected, and I think that's also the closest to the writings by Robert E. Howard. Gotcha. Of course, first of all is read the Robert E. Howard original Conan.
Oh, look at Damien.
Oh, they what? Nice. I have to. Oh, thank you. I have to look for that. Yeah, sometimes you find the best information in live chats.
You do.
There's only the ones that Damien's in.
Yeah,
because it's tough. I mean, the live chats have cost me some money.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, what?
But yeah,
I'm on eBay as I'm talking.
Yeah. But later on, after the next issue, we're gonna dive into one of my favorite characters, which the character itself is a rights abomination. In sorts of rights, if sorts of copyright stuff.
Well, let's get to your next issue so we can
let's get the next one, which is one of my favorite books. You can get it out there for probably 50 cents. It's Arak, Son of Thunder. I think issue number 3 is the first appearance of my favorite DC character, Valda the Iron Maiden.
Yep, I have like 8 copies of that issue.
Yeah, this is. It's Roy Thomas being at DC, and the whole run was such a delight to read.
And the art is so good.
Ernie Colon in the art, then you have Tony De Zuniga like on later issues. You have the best of the Filipino artists on this run. It's a delight, and the fantastic thing about it is that it covers also one of my favorite periods of European history. Charlemagne, Charles the Great, Karl the Große. And it also features a lot of European myths. And then the Wonder Eats was. So you have like a lot of Middle Eastern myths, a lot of Asian myths in there. Basically, it starts in Europe in a Viking, basically Viking age, and it ends in feudal Japan. The whole run. It's a huge journey, and it's one of the best sword and sorcery reads out there. Most underrated. And one of the most underused characters of DC, probably.
And Eric goes through a couple hair changes too in that series.
Because that's also the great thing. He's basically he's a Native American who ends up on a shipwreck and being adopted by Vikings. So hey, Jackson Roy Kirk. So he has he has like the Native American heritage, but he has the Viking, characteristics, because he grew up in this environment. And
a cheap series to put together, because I put all 50 issues together for I paid $1 for the first issue, 50 cents for all the others a piece.
Wow.
So I have multiples of most of them, but
and his first appearance was as a preview in Warlord. Yeah.
Yep. Warlord, him and Arion both appeared first in Warlord.
Yeah, and the fun thing is, you want something else. When hey, did DC ever reuse Arak? Yes, in one of the most failed big crossovers. What was it called? When the one they did when they moved from New York to California.
Because they tried their luck with Claw too, but that one barely lasted.
Yeah, but Arak was really a fantastic read. Yeah. And Wilder also recently appeared in the Wonder Woman comic in 3 issues. I mean, recently, I think in the last 3 years. So.
Oh. Yeah, because I'm sure because they don't want to lose the IPs. They have to use them after a certain amount of years, right?
Yeah. That's But yeah, I highly recommend the Arak run. It's like I said, it's very cheap to get. You can probably get the whole run in a bulk, because I'm pretty sure like a lot of comic books salesmen are getting this. It was actually the first run I ever completed.
Yeah. And at 50 issues, it's not tough to complete, which is
nice. 50 issues in one annual. So it's
Yep, I got yep. And the annual's cheap too. They're all cheap.
They're all cheap, and they're just fantastic reads. So let's get to one of my most favorite characters, one of the most tough first appearance to get in the US, way easier to get it in Europe since he first appeared at Marvel UK, which is Transformers UK issue number 113, the first appearance of Deathset. I mean, of course, this is Rodimus Prime. This is not Deathset. If you don't know who Deathset is, this is Deathset.
Okay, wow.
And he's like
such a great character design.
Such a great character design. Created by Chuck Senior, and he's like a freelance peacekeeping agent. Never call him a bounty hunter. And the crazy thing about it is, since it was created at Marvel UK, and Marvel UK back then had the rights to Transformers, of course, Marvel, and Doctor Who.
Ooh.
So this character started at Transformers, but they retroactively made another ad with him so that Marvel owns the rights and not Transformers.
Oh.
So Marvel still has the rights for Deathset, which of course that's why also they brought out the really shitty miniseries out there just to keep the rights.
Sure.
But the crazy thing about it is when Marvel decided to move the character of Deathset from Transformers into the regular Marvel universe, the way they did it was that Doctor Who shrunk him down. And later on, there was also an issue where Deathset was like hunting Doctor Who. You know, somebody put a bounty on Doctor Who, and he's like, I think I'm doing it for free. Like, that's hilarious. So he was shrunk down by Doctor Who. And I also have that issue. So that was in Doctor Who magazine.
Yeah, they could have had him with the Micronauts then.
And the rights of Doctor Who, Transformers, and of course Marvel are now at 3 different companies. Yeah, so when Marvel reprinted their Deathset set, is of course was missing the issue with Doctor Who in there, because they don't have the rights to it. So it's still the best way to hunt down Deathset books is to pick up the Marvel UK run of Deathset, and then you have all the stories. I think those are very still underrated, but like I said, it's such a this character is a walking, not breathing because it's a robot, is a walking copyright abomination.
Right. And also a very Death Dealer design about him.
Yes, I mean the design is where's the the design is just so savage. I mean how he and this is one of my when I as a kid I read, we also got the UK Transformers here translated. You know, I was always watching, of course, Transformers on TV. I love Transformers,
of course.
And then suddenly read the comic and I see this one guy I've never seen on TV just wrecking an Autobot with an axe. So it's like, fuck. I love this character.
I love it.
So I was very lucky to pick up his first appearance before it really rose in price. And those UK Transformers magazine are flimsy.
They really are their thing, because I had a 4-in-1 here.
Yeah, they ordered the Black Cat, the Spider-Man Black Cat that I sent you. Like also like there's like
like Wispy. There's barely anything there.
Yes. So, but this one is very tough to get in the US, especially I think now under a few hundred. I was very lucky. I think I picked it up for 80 euros back in. That was luckily before the pandemic, and I was even able to talk the seller down.
Now, what issue was his first appearance again out there for those watching?
Transformers UK 113.
Only the UK though?
Was only in the UK. It's a Marvel UK, yeah. So that's why it's so tough to pick it up, to get it in the US, and way easier, of course, to get it in Europe.
Sure.
But of course, very tough to get it in a presentable grade.
And I don't think a lot of people like that go in comic shops here know what a big Marvel presence there is in the UK. Especially with like Avengers and Conan being in the same book and stuff.
Yeah,
like
I have, luckily also in the back, I have the full Seventh Sword of Conan UK run, and I picked that one up before. I picked that up for basically nothing, because before the pandemic, everyone in the UK, and before people talked up foreign issues on YouTube, everybody in the UK wanted to get, like, nobody there liked the reprints, which I never understood, because they're all so awesome. Also, there's the Conan, like the pocket comics, and
right.
the UK reprints are so fantastic.
Solomon Kane is one of my favorites, CJ.
I like Solomon Kane, but I never really want up to him to be like, oh yeah, that's like one of my favorite characters.
I love the Robert E. Howard stories of him. They're so good.
I mean, they are so good. It's like, but it's the character. I never want up to him that much, even though he plays an interesting timeline.
Just in he was a contrast with the witch stick he had, but he was a devout, and it was just he had a lot of cool things.
I don't think I've ever even heard of this character.
You've never heard of Solomon Kane?
There's also a movie for James Purefoy.
James Purefoy is really good, even though
so good.
He's a perfect Solomon Kane. The ending of that movie is a mess, but there's some great elements to it.
Yeah. And I love Purefoy because he also plays Mark Antony, of course, in the Rome TV series, which is my favorite TV series of all time.
And yeah, Solomon Kane is a great character, John, if you've never read him.
Yeah.
Actually, it's funny because James Purefoy appears in a lot of adaptation of pulp, because he's also in the John Carter of Mars movie.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which is a horrible movie.
Horrible. Absolutely trash. Yeah.
Absolutely. But not the good kind of trash. Sadly.
No.
The one.
You're talking about the Disney one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, the low budget one with the porn actress is way better.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's also the only thing where I have faith in the new Red Sonja movies, because it's the same director.
Right. I just wish that had been better handled by the rights holders, so we could have got Solomon Kane 2 and 3.
Let's just say the rights holders are so incompetent.
Right, because that was supposed to be a trilogy, is what the rumors I had heard about it.
Yeah, it's
every time any Robert E. Howard property is supposed to be a trilogy, it meets with disaster after one.
Yeah, let's just say that every movie that we even get and that is filmed and released is a miracle, because it's not released because of the people behind it. It's released despite people.
Well, I remember waiting for that to come out, and it was like 2 years before I could even watch it in the U.S.
Yeah,
so many things went wrong with it.
That's crazy.
And it wasn't with the people who made the movie. It was everything. It was all the people behind it.
Yeah, it's like it's a whole mess. And in general, I'm so happy that I don't work in culture anymore, and because business is actually so much more streamlined.
All right, number 8, Thorsten.
Number 8, which is a cover that is not often seen, but it's one of my most favorite Red Sonja covers by one of my most favorite artists, and I'm also very lucky to call him a friend, Jim Bayland.
Ooh.
Which is the variant cover of Red Sonja issue number 17 from Dynamite. And you can see first of all the details in it. Jim Bayland is also one of the best artists. And you can clearly see that this version of Red Sonja is clearly based on his beautiful wife, Holly.
Now, that was from the first run too, right?
Yes, that's one of the Jim Bayland incentive variants.
That's cool.
I gotta
And
see.
also, like, I love the colors. I love the blue in the background. I love the contrast with the white snow. It's just it's such a homogeneous cover, like color wise.
Well, I love the perspective because you got the two mouths of the two wolves like directly next to the reader. Like that's really a cool perspective.
Yeah, and all, of course, the sacrificed people, skeletons bound on the trees. Here you have more mouths. So it's basically, it also makes it's almost like Wes Anderson would have directed that scene, because it's also very nice centric. So
I wonder if I have that issue, because I have
Gary's like on eBay now. He's buying it.
I sure am.
Yeah.
I love it. That's great.
So I think it's also one of the covers that you don't see a lot out there.
No, I've never seen it.
But I think it's
right.
One of the
it's on its way, just in case.
Yeah.
So good.
Now I got to make my Thorsten cost me money face.
Yeah, then let's hope because I think the next one is a little bit more expensive.
Uh-oh.
Just because it's one of the later Red Sonja issues from the Dynamite run, which also introduced Lucio Perillo to Red Sonja, which is issue. And also I love this because it's Red Sonja issue number 76. When Dynamite was still doing ongoing runs. I miss this so much, because it's just like, issue number 76 just has a ring to it, and not like this is issue number 3 out of 5.
Right.
Yeah.
This is one of the early Lucio Perillos when he still put a lot of effort to draw backgrounds, which of course he can't do nowadays because he does like 20 covers a week or something.
Right.
And this is after storyline when Red Sonja became a vampire. And
wow,
that is great. The sky, look at that.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean,
what
obviously,
a great battle.
the sky.
And that's how Sonja should be depicted, in the midst of during a battle or after a battle. But she's a warrior.
And you can see here like close, like her fangs, because like that was after Dracula turned her after the crossover into a vampire. So it's also like, of course, it plays a little bit homage to Flat Tepesh, just you have heads impaled and not whole people.
Right. No, that's cool. And not only that, there's a slightly askew perspective that's really nice on that one.
Yes. It almost looks like you're
looking up at it from the ground.
You're looking up from a position where you really don't want to look up on her.
Because it probably means just your head down and you're just laying there waiting to draw your last breath.
Yeah, the early Lucio Perillos are really the best ones, because that was before they overused him. Of course, I understand it from his perception, because of course he's like an artist. You want to do as many covers as possible because
some of his Queen Sonja covers are amazing too.
Yes, those are. I'm trying to get the full Queen Sonja run with the Perillo covers, and those are tough to hunt down. Like I really bite myself there, because I was like, that was back in the day when I just read the trade paperbacks.
One of my favorite ones though was one he did the last couple of years, which I did the Kickstarter for.
That one is so beautiful.
All the dead bodies around.
I think I have 3 of those here. Like
that one's amazing.
That one is also the colors, because this was also when you first of all you think, hey, a Lucio Perillo like Indiegogo, why should I do it if there's a Perillo every week? No, but this is one where he really put time in it.
Yeah. Oh, it's an amazing. Yeah. As soon as I got that back, I sent it out. What?
Yeah. I think I got even a graded one from the campaign, because I read all the Endless campaign, so I absolutely love this cover. But this cover is not part of this. Like I said, it's so tough to. If I would do it tomorrow, it would be probably different books.
It's so true. It's so true.
All right, so let's get to number 10.
Number 10 is basically a Conan Dollar book, but it's a story I absolutely love, which is funny because it's actually not a Robert D. Howard adaptation, but it's a it's a Linkator or the Camp. I think it's a the Camp adaptation, but you also see it in the original Conan the Barbarian movie with Arnold. Is when he gets the Atlantean sword in the crypt, the thing in the crypt.
Oh yeah, that's a great issue.
And I loved that issue. I loved that cover because this issue, even though it's not original adaptation by Roddy Howard, and it's by what a lot of Conan purists will say by the lesser prestige art writers that came later. But this, for me, is a story that embodies everything that sword and sorcery is about. You have Conan like running away after being like enslaved, and then he's getting like into this like you have like the savagery, you have the fantasy, but you also have the eldritch horror of something in the crypt like a giant skeleton.
Yeah,
and they really did this.
The title of the thing in the crypt because it's a throwback to that era of how they titled things, which is really cool.
And the wonderful thing about this, which I didn't even order. I once ordered some UK Conan books, and somebody added something in it for free, and I couldn't believe it. Which is basically.
Oh wow!
Whoa!
So I got this for free, and it was one of my favorite covers. So
that's insane.
That's insane. I don't even know what this is, but it's awesome.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never seen anything like that. That's incredible. Yeah. Hold on to that forever.
I do. I will.
But yeah, I will.
This is just like for many people would say this is a throwaway run filler Conan comic book, but like I say, for me, this embodies everything what I love about sword and sorcery.
Right. Well, and I don't subscribe to that.
And of course, the Ernie Chan cover, it's a Sal Buscema and Ernie Chan cover. I still have to say, it's like I actually should be whipped because I don't have a single John Buscema cover here.
Well, I hate when people
but I have a Sal Buscema.
There you go.
Because filler's a dirty word, right? Because when people say filler, they're saying it like a comic has no value to it, and it's just wrong. There's so many great stories out there. Like, just because it's not a key doesn't mean it's garbage. If it was garbage, it wouldn't have lasted 275 issues.
Exactly, and from a European perspective, it's way tougher to get the filler issues than the keys, because people sell the keys. But find the people that sell the filler issues.
But you did recently complete that run, though, right?
I completed the run,
and now it's Savage Sword.
The keys were the easiest thing to get. The toughest thing were to get some issues between 150 and 275. That was the tough part.
I think 275 was one of the toughest ones for me to find, and then when I got it, I was lucky to get it for $10.
Yeah, I think that's what I paid. I think I paid 30 or 40.
And it's not even a good cover. It's just
but it's just the final one. And I found it. Yeah, I found it from a seller in Germany. The shipping was not a lot, so it's like yes, gonna get it because the worst thing about hunting filler issues in Europe is when you have to pay more for the shipping than the book is worth.
There you go, CJ. All issues are Conan. He's the Gary card. That's so true. All right, so now we're to an 11th with a personal story.
Now I'm going to cheat.
Oh, go ahead. Cheat away.
Since we scrapped the 12th book, since I don't care about spec and I don't think people should spec anyway, I'm going to do like the last. And also the thing is, I'm having here AOKs and gifts from people that are very dear to me. And if I just show one book, I would feel, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And we got a Savage Sword of Conan him, issue 5. Put him up on this.
Yeah. Maybe we should have a sequel to this.
Just Buscema covers.
Yeah. Yeah. And Earl Norham, of course.
Oh, Earl Norham, you already know he's one of my favorite Conan artists ever. His covers are incredible, impeccable.
So beautiful. That's Prince from Spain, of course. Oops. Like, so beautiful.
It is. All right, so for this last bit, you're going into AOKs.
I'm going to a case, so I'm gonna show like a few pics, and it's like, this is this is just a little glimpse into the generosity of the community of people that I hold very dear, and the generosity of some people that are friends and work in the comic book industry. So I'm ever grateful for this. Of course, if lucky, I can say if I would show all the OKs, we would sit there until tomorrow.
Right.
Yeah.
It's the same on this side. If I showed AOKs, I've got so many I can't even remember what they all are.
Yeah. I mean, if I would have to do a spec choice, I have to go with a first appearance that is very underrated, which is of course Tarot, Witch of the Black Rose, or Raven Hex issue number 1, or it's Tarot 122 or Raven Hex issue number 1, and I have this wonderful writing here by Jim Bayland. To Thorsten, thanks for letting me kill you in this issue. So I'll also have one here. So let's go into it. Yeah, it's like this is an important key. So where is this bastard? Since this guy here is getting killed by a giant pumpkin monster.
Right. I think he needs to get probed by the pumpkin monster first and then killed.
Please don't.
That's hilarious.
You gotta torture him a little bit.
Yeah, Ryan Magic Lasso has it even with a remark on it. and signed by the victim.
That is awesome.
Yeah. So
one day
if you want to spec on the first and spec on the first appearance and death of Varangian Vigilante.
The only other character besides Ben Parker to stay dead in the book.
Most likely. The next book it's also very special. And the crazy thing is, I looked for this book everywhere. Couldn't find it in Europe. And then 2 fantastic people in the community found one and they gifted me each one. Which actually one of these is here in the chat, Ryan Magic Lasso. He found one in Australia.
Wow.
And the other person found one in the US, which is, he's sadly not here, Steve Whiting. I think we have some people in here that can tell tales of the generosity and the big heart of Steve Whiting.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
I don't think the world could handle more than one Steve Whiting. We should just be grateful that we live in the time when he's on the earth.
Exactly. And Ryan, and he actually sent me a book at the same time. Ryan even told me, hey, like you can sell one of the books. Like, I can't sell them. Like, those are gifts. Which is the 1 in 10 variant of King Conan, Hour of the Dragon, from Dark Horse Comics, which was back then a book not a lot of people had their eye open for. It's a San Julian cover, and it's the Schwarzenegger.
Wow.
Legacy of Conan by San Julian.
Nice. That's cool.
And this book is a ghost.
Yeah, that is an amazing cover.
God, and the detail. Holy cow.
And this book is a ghost. When you find it, you either find it for nothing or you find it for way too much.
See, I thought you were going to pull out the one with the bare boobs on the cover that was so hard to find for Dark Horse. That they want like $200, $300 for.
That one I have in a box store somewhere, but
yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah,
It takes you right back to your childhood and nostalgia watching them at the end of the movie.
And it's like I said, it's not by any artist, it's by San Julian, who is also one of the best painters / comic book artists out there. Amazing. So this is, of course, very, very special to me. Then another book that's again Steve Whiting. He went to a con in Florida and he knew there was somebody there that I really like, Kevin Sorbo. Since I really loved the Kevin Sorbo Kull, the Conqueror movie. But with all its flaws, still loved that movie. And one of my favorite Kull covers is Kull the Destroyer issue number 11, because it goes back to one of my favorite Kull story, which of course was also written by Robert E. Howard and rewritten into a Conan story.
Right.
Yeah, it's of course, and the favorite saying, one of my most favorite quotes in Sword and Sorcery history is, by this axe I rule. And this is Kevin Sorbo is Kull the Destroyer.
Oh, he signed it for you too?
Yeah, he signed it. Yeah, cool. Steve Whiting got it signed for me by Kevin Sorbo.
And that is a great run.
Yeah.
And it changed to Kull the Conqueror.
Yeah. I think actually it was Kull the. I think it was Kull. It was called.
And then it changed to
Kull Destroyer with issue number 11. Yeah. So this issue number 11 is actually, this is a slow reboot into like another issue number 1. So they would have made a new miniseries.
And it was such a good series.
And there's a block cover, I can't pronounce his name. Block. And also beautiful, beautiful cover. So I'm very happy to have this signed by Sorborino, by Hercules himself. The next book is also very dear to my heart, since it's the first cover depiction of Red Sonja by Sarah Frazetta.
Oh.
And which is not because I bought it myself, but later on she also mailed me one signed by her.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So.
Oh, nice.
And I absolutely love this one. Sarah is a fantastic artist. And this is also one of my most favorite modern Red Sonja comics. And this was before this company was mostly known for artists stealing wives, Black Flag comics.
Now, I remember when she was on your show talking about that cover.
Yeah. And then it was sold out. Beautiful cover.
Yeah.
Great signature placement, too.
Yeah, absolutely. The next one is one of these crazy books that you don't AOK. Oh. But Man Cave sent it to me.
Oh, that explains it right there.
Exactly.
This is a book you don't see often as an AOK.
Oh, wow.
Yikes.
That's a biggie.
Yeah.
That's a big one. First appearance of Vampirella. And Man Cave is one crazy guy. Love him. And the funny thing about it was, I was about to buy this. And actually, I was about to buy this very book on eBay. But then somebody else bought it. And instead of buying this, I bought Savage Tales number 1.
That's okay. I mean, you got to use it for something else just as good.
Yeah. So, eternal thanks to Man Cave.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. I really hope in the future we can do a stream again, since, of course, like he's very hardworking as being doctor, and the time difference is really tough to be in a stream. I was hoping when I was on Biggie's show a few weeks ago that he could make it, but sadly couldn't. So I hope we can really be on Biggie channel. We just talked a little bit between the lines about Clayton Crane and Black Flag.
And, we can always try to get him on this channel again with you here too.
Yeah, that would be amazing. The next book is also, it's not only an AOK, it's and fantastic, unique art piece by Jay Hood.
Ooh,
and everybody
yeah.
who knows him knows what a
Yes.
fantastic artist he is.
Yeah, Jamie is a very talented guy.
Jamie is talented, and he gifted me
Nice.
this Red Sonja. Since I think he like between the lines also asked what I would like to see in a Red Sonja cover, and I said I would really love to see her contemplating and being like exhausted after a long battle. Since I think we see way too less of such covers.
Sure.
Right.
And this is
he's
just
so great. That's amazing.
So great.
Yeah.
I mean, he is a professional artist, but he's an underrated artist, and he's also underrating himself. Yeah, it's like he's just a fantastic artist, and also.
Oh no, that makes total sense, because after the battle, you're gonna sit your ass down a minute and just survive.
Yeah.
Let's take a toll of what's on the field.
And the last book I want to show is also a gift by a friend, which really took me by surprise, because I was just in Vienna to visit him, and we went out to eat, and suddenly the name you can pronounce, Mahmoud. Yeah, suddenly Mahmoud. He's like, "Hey, I drew this morning for you." Like
what?
So Mahmoud drew this like in a single morning, because he's like, "Hey, I'm gonna meet you in Vienna in the afternoon, so I had some time, so I quickly drew you like a Conan."
Wow, that's so freaking cool.
It's so funny, because with Mahmoud, because he was announced as Conan artist, back in the day in 2018. Yes, Jeff, I have an art piece from Sarah, but yeah, we're showing comics today. But otherwise, I have it like in another room, and it's a beautiful gift by Jeff and Sarah. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, it's so fun, because I messaged it like back then on Twitter, when I was still on Twitter, that is like, hey, it's good that somebody from Vienna is drawing Conan, because like if I don't like it, I know exactly where I have to go. And then you're like, that's strange. But then we talked, and I still had like a code, because I have several Conan editions, and some come with codes for digital downloads. So Mahmoud, at that point, he hasn't read the Conan stories by Robert E. Howard yet. And it's like, hey, I can give you all the Conan stories, and if you have any questions about the Hyborian Age, like I'm always here. And so we met sometimes, and we really we had great times. So I still hope we find time again to meet each other soon in Vienna. So, and it's great, because I live in Graz, he lives in Vienna, so it's basically 2 train hours to go there.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and like I also like, it's like, hey, I know this Gary B guy who also really loves your art. Can you can you sign something for him?
It was really nice of him.
It's so funny, because when I posted this on Instagram, people ask, it's like, hey, I don't know this variant.
Because it's a one of, sir.
It's a very unique variant. But yeah, he's just also one of the. And this is also something that he struggles a little bit to accept. But I told him, it's like, your Conan is marking a certain era of Conan, and you can be proud of it.
Right.
Yeah.
And I already told you that his Conan was my favorite since John Buscema. I don't think you can give him bigger praise than that.
That's a huge praise.
And that's the thing, is like, you're part of the history of Conan, and I'm so happy that this year he also got
King Conan series is beautiful.
Yeah, and it's also so good that this year, he finally got also the recognition by the Robert E. Howard Society. So he got the prize for best Conan artist of the last year.
Wow.
And luckily, I got the issue 3, a couple copies of it, before Marvel caved in and changed it.
They
should have just left that alone.
That was such a horrible move by Marvel, and I think this was also the straw that broke the camel's back. That Conan and Marvel they both decided, hey, let's part ways.
Yeah, Conan is a character you can't PC.
Yeah,
If
but
you
also the
PC
thing is
Conan,
that,
you're doing Conan wrong.
the thing is, yes, but he did the art for the Aaron run. And, we also talked about it because I was also asking him, it's like, hey, how is it to work under the eyes of the mouse doing Conan? And he said, in terms of violence, he was pretty much giving like a free pass. There was only one time, I think there was a decapitation that he had a little bit to slim a little bit down. Everything sexual, of course, was off limits. But that was what we all knew when Marvel got back the Conan rights.
Yeah.
And it was weird because it was the opposite of the 70s, right? There was a little more sexual, but the violence, they could never show any like sword penetrations or cuts out. Those always had to occur off panel in the 70s. So they were more hypersensitive to violence in the 70s, but they didn't care so much about the sexual content. They needed to be covered, of course, but then Roy Thomas found a way around that with Savage Sword of Conan.
Exactly. And this is the great thing with the magazine format is because it didn't count as a comic book. So the comic code was not really something that to uphold with magazines.
Right. Well, which was great. There was a lot of those magazines which are very racy inside.
Provocative for sure.
Yeah.
But the stories that go with them are also really good.
I'm also like, this was a book that I had was culled when I slimmed it down to the 10, which was the first appearance of Kita of Alisa in the 1984 magazine, which was a Warren magazine. And this is one of the most underrated magazines in the US.
It is. I have a couple issues here. When I see them, I can usually get them for $10 or under, and I just grab them right away.
And there's not only the first appearance of Kita of Alisa, but there's also beautiful Kita of Alisa covers. And one of them is actually a homage to Savage Tales issue number 1. With the decapitation, with the head holding up. Yeah.
Which is just a classic cover, too.
Oh, yeah.
Fantastic cover. There's also a Savage Tales Red Sonja homage. One of the variant covers, I think, Savage Tales issue number 1 from Dynamite.
Yep. They did a few homages in that Savage Tales.
That was a good run. That was a good run. The new Savage Tales, they do some. What Dynamite does now is a little bit. It's
the throwaway little 6-7 page stories and
yes,
a bunch of them.
And sometimes just by artists they have to hire to not get canceled or something. It's not pretty. However, and this was a big surprise, is how good the Free Comic Book Day issue of Red Sonja was this year.
Yes, I have a couple over here. I thought it was good.
That was a big surprise because, of course, when an artist comes from Marvel, you always fear the worst. It's like, oh.
Yeah, the Walter Giovanni.
When a writer comes from Marvel, you always fear the worst. It's, I think what would really kill something in me is if there would ever be a Tini Howard Red Sonja.
Yeah.
Oh, don't even.
I don't know why they would ever hire her to do that.
I know. It's like, this is a quote by me. Like, Tini Howard is where plots go to die.
Right.
Yeah.
She's been my least favorite writer in X-Men in the era that they're in now. I've been very disappointed by her stuff. Like she did Excalibur, and I just was not into it.
It's not a good time for X-Men fans. I'm very lucky to be not an X-Men fan. The only X-Men issues that I have are, of course, the one where Coulon Garth is in it.
And I don't remember that one.
They even reprinted it later for Savage Avengers.
Oh, okay.
And it was like an older issue. It was a 2-issue miniseries, and one
like a
has Skull
crossover
Guard
with
and
Savage
Carver, and
Avengers.
the other one I think it's the first appearance of Nimrod or somebody.
Okay.
And also that classic Cool Gath issue where Red Sonja inhabited the body of MJ to become with Spider-Man and Marvel Team Up 101.
Yeah. Comic Journey, yes, exactly those. Yeah. And the Spider-Man Red Sonja crossover, the original one, of course, also like Red Sonja drawn by Byrne, beautiful. And and this is also one of the best stories. And this story also was a little bit remade with the Age of Chaos Red Sonja Dynamite miniseries. This is one of the better Dynamite books.
Yeah, but there's so many that are so rough, where it's like this isn't even the character. They just put the skin of the character on whatever they wrote.
Mm-hmm.
And just horrible stuff.
Yeah.
That's why I was hoping that like something. I think Dynamite's going all in with a brand new series with these creators because of Titan Comics.
Yes, yeah. I mean, Walter Giovanni is also one of the most best modern Red Sonja artists. So it's really good to have him as an artist back. The writer, I think she's from a Scandinavian country, which is always good to maybe not have somebody who is tainted by U.S. culture war.
Right.
Because that's the thing, it's sometimes it's so tough. Luckily, there's a lot of good channels on YouTube, but sometimes it's so tough to listen to some channels because I always say there's two sources I don't trust. I don't trust people that like everything, and I don't trust people that hate everything.
Right.
Yeah, because then there's an agenda behind it. Now I want to have, yeah.
There's no way that can be your real. You can't hate everything. You can't
exactly
like everything.
It's the same thing when I say of course, like I often criticize modern comics, but there's still a lot of comics on the police. If you go out there and look for stories, you will find stories that you like.
Sure.
So it may be not the most creative era of in the history of comics, but there's still great books out there when you find them. So
I'm really excited about the new Fire and Ice coming out, and then I'm apprehensive at the same time because it's Dynamite doing it.
I heard very good things about it.
Good, because I'm really excited on one level, and then
Sarah,
the other, I'm like,
Sarah promised me that it's going to be good.
Now, I got to figure out what I got to do to get Sarah on my channel to talk about this stuff. I'm gonna have to have Thorsten nudge.
Just ask her. It's she's one of the most approachable, one of the most honest, and one of the nicest people in the world.
Nice. I probably will because I follow her account.
Yeah.
And I'm getting all the Frazetta-verse stuff. I love it.
Yeah. It's so fun. It's sometimes you have to hold it back. It's like to gift her stuff. Like I basically, the new Conan jacket, I pre-ordered it immediately. It's like, so it's like you can't give me so much. I'm not poor. I can pay for it.
And of course, when I pre-ordered for the new Conan series from Titan, of course I got the Conan the Barbarian homage cover, which is a $14 cover.
Yeah, that's the foil one with the movie poster, and of course there's also the beautiful Conan #1 homage by Patch Zircher.
I already ordered that one too. I always get if ever I see a Conan 1 homage, I always get it.
Yeah, me too. I think
even if it's just not a really good one, I still
I even have the one. I even have the one from one of the shittiest comics out there from Barbarian.
What's that? Oh. Which one?
The Barbarian issue #1, the Conan homage. Barbarian is one of the most moronic books out there, but I even have that issue despite that.
I don't know that one. It's just called Barbarian?
Yeah, it's like that guy can't write, the Moretti.
I'm gonna have to look for that one because I didn't hear about that one.
And I think you even showed it. Huh?
Did I? It's just called Barbarian?
Yeah.
Huh.
And that guy can't write for saving his life. It's like having a sword and sorcery story in an MCU movie.
Who's the writer?
Moretti.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna have to look into that. Because I even have that bad one, the Sonya Devereaux one, which was the
Oh
Conan
yeah.
one.
I think I have 5.
And it's a garbage comic. It's pure garbage.
But also there's luckily the Lady Death one.
The Lady Death one I have, I slabbed
Yeah,
that one. That one's gorgeous.
that is beautiful.
And I'm not a Lady Death fan, but like the Lady Death homage covers are incredible. Like they put
Lady Death is
actually
Lady Death is. I mean, first of all, there's different phases of Lady Death.
Right.
But I think it's also a really good read. But it's just like I say, I can't collect it. It's like I have my
collect everything.
Exactly, can't collect everything. I mean, Lady Death would be so interesting because I think when Avatar had her stories, she's basically her origin is in Austria, so she's from Vienna before she went to hell.
Oh, nice.
Damien, I have heard
Barbaric. Barbaric. Yeah, Barbaric.
Barbaric. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I've heard good things about Birthright, though. I've heard that that's a good series.
If it's written by the same guy, I can't believe it, because I just read his Mighty Avengers issue #1, and that was an abomination.
It's funny because I like Barbaric. I like Owen.
He's like he doesn't write. He writes as if a fantasy environment would be nowadays. He can't choose his language in a way that it feels authentic in a sword and sorcery environment. And then he adds stupid humor in it, which is basically secondhand shaming. It's horrible.
It's funny because I've enjoyed all 3 series. I can't even lie about it. I like them a lot.
And don't watch the stream yesterday with Sean where I called everybody who likes it basically the R word.
That's okay, Thorsten. I got thick skin. I can take the criticism.
where I said basically it feels like they take writers randomly out of a Fast and Furious audience.
Yeah, I've got a lot of Barbaric there actually, and that homage cover was awesome.
It's just like I despise this book so much that I only have this one book because it's a homage to Conan #1, but it's basically it's the red-headed children of child collection.
And it's funny because I like as soon as they come out, I'm like, ooh, when I'm reading them.
Yeah.
Now all I can see is Thorsten in the back looking at me going, what a tool.
I did,
he's going to criticize every time.
Yeah, I tried issue #1 and 2, and I did the best thing about it for the environment and recycled it.
Right. Well, see, that's the cool thing though, right? Because Thorsten and I get along great, but there's some things we have vastly different tastes on, just being different people. And
yeah, for me,
let's see
there's some things like I can accept, but I'm very critical when a world doesn't make sense, when a world is not coherent, when the language does not fit the environment the book takes place in.
Right.
So I'm really, and this is something I really love about Roy Thomas, because it doesn't matter if you read a Conan book by him, an Adventures book by him, or later even his Justice League stuff was really good. Every language was really based upon the world it took place in, and this is what makes a good writer. And sometimes today first of all, I also like to break a little lens for modern writers. They're getting a shitty pay. Like what they're getting for a page rate it's not how you can feed yourself or even feed a family. So it's not very encouraging to really bring your A game to the writing, right? So sometimes I can feel a little bit for that, but still, of course, this is not my concern as a reader.
No, it shouldn't be.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So it's,
you're trying to get the best bang for your buck when you're out there spending your hard-earned money.
Yes. And what a Blaze does these days and not with the stuff, of course, they just translated from the French comics, because of course Conan is public domain in Europe. Like that stuff is good. Of course, it's very up to interpretation.
I was saying, you and I differed on a bunch of those.
Exactly.
I hated it and you liked it.
Yeah, but I totally get that because when you grew up with the Franco-Belgian style and the Franco-Belgian writing and everything, then it's more approachable. But of course, I totally get it when you read that, and it's tough to Biggie. It's tough to maybe get into it.
Well, I thought they committed the same sin because when they did some of those adaptations, like let's take the Red Nails one, which the best adaptation by Roy Thomas and Barry Windsor Smith, right? That thing is incredible. And when you read the original Robert E. Howard story and you read the Roy Thomas adaptation, not only does it look brilliant because of Barry Windsor Smith's art, but it translates all the key elements in that story over to the comic adaptation. And you feel like you're reading the same story almost. It's adapted so well. And people make fun of people who adapt saying they can't really write. I think the opposite. I think it's tough to adapt something and keep the original feel. So a lot of people will call Roy Thomas a hack for that, and I completely disagree about that.
I completely agree with that, yeah.
With Ablaze, especially with Red Nails, they changed complete whole scenes in that story where they didn't need to change them, and some of the phrases coming out of Conan's mouth weren't from Hybori at all. Like, whoa, it took me right out of the story.
But you know what's the reasoning behind that? That's the problem when you have something that is original in English. It gets rewritten in French, and then you translate it from the French again into the English.
but to leave out key elements and change them, like Conan killing one person and then make it somebody else, makes no sense.
But I also have to say that Ablaze totally mismarketed this. Because of course these books I have all the trades here, the albums here, and it was completely marketed different here. Here it was marketed as the original stories of Robert E. Howard through the eyes of the French artist. So it's basically through the viewpoint of the artist with his style. So it's basically, it's not as in America they marketed like Robert E. Howard, uncut. This is not it. So it's a place.
No, they added something that didn't make sense.
Exactly. But
like the Frost Giant's daughter, horrible. The worst adaptation I've ever read in my life.
I really loved it because I really loved
3 pages of this girl masturbating for no reason. It made no sense.
Because it's French. It's like through the eyes of a French
story. It doesn't add anything to the story. I'm like, why is she like? It makes no sense. I just want to
because women do this in France.
Just ridiculously stupid. Thorsten, I was so mad after that. I just wanted to burn the issue. I'm like, this just doesn't make sense.
I can totally understand that because this is when I feel something about barbaric.
Right, because I'm like, this is a scene about a story about Conan's will to survive, and then they're putting this in. This isn't the story.
Franco-Texan gore.
That's so good.
But yeah, I totally agree with that because of course if you read this book and approach it as Robert E. Howard finally uncut for the first time in comics, it's like, and you read this like what the but of course if like here in Europe when they say okay, we take the original Robert E. Howard stories and we reinterpret them through the eye of the creative team, then it's something completely different because then
I should have had his eye poked out.
Yeah. Because then I'm going into the stories of course this is not Robert E. Howard, but this is like a reimagination by if the French are their own, why do you think we invaded France so often?
Like, look, I'm not against erotica, trust me. It just didn't belong in that story.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with that. I personally absolutely love the aesthetics. But it's always a question of, for me, is how you sell the book to me.
Right. Well, because then you know what you're in for, right?
Yes,
you're not going into something with completely different expectations of what this product's going to be.
Exactly. Yeah. So if Ablaze would have just put, look, this is fucking drivel on the cover, I would have understood what was going on.
Ablaze is a.
You guys started off as friends, and we started talking about barbaric and French books, and it's like all just derailed here in the second half.
No, Ablaze is a trash publisher, and they have shown that the most of the Belit and Valeria
horrible. They treated them like teenagers, and like these
that
they're not like women.
That was
Like
horrible. And
women
also the
warriors at
new Mighty
all.
Barbarians issue #1. I threw this book away yesterday on the live stream.
I bought it just in case it might be good, and I haven't cracked it open. Now I have no hope for it.
Let's just say they brought back Fongor, and they did nothing with that.
Wow. So get the lighter ready, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't worry, kid. We're staying warm tonight.
Yeah. If you ever have a pandemic again, and we have the big crisis of toilet paper.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, just send them to a blaze. Let them burn that whole place down. Even fitting in the name. I'll start the fire myself.
That would be yes. That would be. I would like to see Gary Bean court defending himself for setting a place on fire.
It's like, easy. I just hand them a copy of your book, and the judge will go, "Pardon." We see your point, Mr. Baker.
You see, but like it's in the name, and if you go any further, you see that basically when you burn something, something can come out well, because when you see back the first Conan comics, also the phoenix on the sword, and the phoenix rises from its ashes.
Exactly, they might put a real good publisher where they once stood. So, no, I'm glad Damien agrees. So again, that's a story that only needed one book, and they dragged that fucking thing out for 3 issues unneededly. To me, because and especially when you have issue number 16 of Conan the Barbarian, the best adaptation of that story, so again good. By Roy Thomas and Barry Windsor Smith, where you felt through that whole issue, one fucking issue, one issue, that's all it needs for that story. You felt Conan's will to survive. Yeah. Everything was about his will to survive.
Yeah. It's also one thing. Here we get it in one album. So it is one issue here. It's just a place who's like milking it.
Right. Well, that's the thing. I'm like, this is when it was announced it was 3 issues. That was like, I don't know. It doesn't make sense. We'll see what happens.
That was actually the thing, because the first books, they made 2 issues. But then it's like, hey, if we slim it a little bit down, and if we put like a little bit more advertisement in, we can right? We can stretch it a little bit and sell more variant covers.
Oh, hey, and instead of marketing this towards the adults that are interested in this, let's put a bunch of stupid section in it that doesn't belong in the story, so we can get the teenagers to buy the book too.
I think if a place releases anything again on their own, I won't even try it. Like Belit and Valeria and Mighty Barbarians was warning enough.
Well, I think they suffer from the same Dynamite formula, right, Thorsten? They're just trying to appeal to the wrong audience for the product.
Absolutely.
They're writing to the wrong audience.
Yeah, the Hour of the Dragon is a beautiful. That's one of
they did do and I won't fully bash them.
Yeah, because the thing is also
that adaptations. I like the People of the Black Circle. I like,
but that's not a place. A place has nothing to do with that.
Right,
because also it's like, of course, it's like every story is its own complete thing, because it's a different creative team behind it. My favorite one was actually the Man Eaters from
Zambula.
Yeah, that was my favorite.
That one wasn't bad either.
That one was very close to the source material.
But I hated more of them than I liked. So, but I did
which is of course completely fair.
I'm getting picked on a lot now in here.
now we're getting more viewers from the FBI.
Yeah, no, and to be fair, they did have a couple really good adaptations, but for the most part, what they changed didn't make sense. It's just, you don't take out, if you're doing an adaptation and you have the balls enough to put the original story in the back of your book, make sure the key points that are in that fucking story are in the adaptation.
But that's also, of course, that a place just did because it was for free.
Oh, look, here's the superior story in the back. By the way, we're not going to follow this fucking thing.
That's actually what happened with the recent official. It's not official. It's really official with the Conan novel that was so bad, which is basically like a prequel to Red Nails, and they also put Red Nails in there, and it was like, first of all, before Red Nails, they put in a trigger warning. Titan put in a trigger warning before Red Nails, and the story was so boring. And who wrote this? Sterling, I think. It was just, I couldn't finish it. It was the first.
I haven't finished it because I was really excited for it too. I pre-ordered it. I had it ready. The cover's beautiful, and I'm like, read.
This was the first Conan pastiche that I was not able to finish. I'm like, I was opening it. I was reading the first 2 chapters. I'm like, I'm 39 years old. I don't have enough time on this earth to bother with this. And if I would live to 200 years, it would be still like, it's like I don't have enough time to bother with this.
Right.
I really like the Chuck Dixon novel recently.
Yeah, there was a lot of good pastiches. I have a bunch of them, and a lot of people call them garbage right away, and they're not. There's a lot of good ones out there. Mm. And right now, the one I'm reading is Sword of the Sorcerer.
Yeah, there's a lot of great pastiche out there. But the fun thing is, because we are a niche audience, but we are also so divided within the Conan community. Like, I know this shop. I know this guy from Sweden who is one of the biggest Conan collectors on the earth, and he absolutely hates Chuck Dixon stories. His Severed Sword stories and like his new novel. But I'm like, I really love this. But it's like, but it's the thing. We can all agree that Robert E. Howard is the GOAT, but everything after Robert E. Howard, I mean, people can still agree on Roy Thomas mostly. But everything after that is very subjective. Like it is. We have a lot
Bruce
of
Jones.
Bruce Jones.
I thought Bruce Jones wrote some great Conan stories. Also, Christopher Priest, when he was writing as Jim Owsley, wrote some good stories.
Yeah, so good.
Chuck Dixon, I liked a bunch of his though.
Yeah, I love Chuck Dixon. For me,
John Arcudi did a couple good ones.
Thomas, Priest, and Dixon for me are the best writers on Marvel Conan.
But to your point, I think when you get past like the original creators for some of these things, it definitely gets very subjective, right?
Absolutely.
I think it's true. I think it's true with any character. It's true of any like publisher. It's true of any movies when they start doing sequels. I know there's people that talk about how the second George Lucas left Star Wars, now it's all just fan fiction from here on out, like anything else that is created. And you might have things you like or dislike, but it becomes very divisive at that point, right?
And I also think personal. And I also really think, when I'm basically on a stream and I'm like in character, I'm cursing a lot and and I'm not always saying nice things to things that I don't like. But however, like, when I'm just regular me, I'm like, hey, everybody should like what they like. And there is no wrong or right in that sense. When you like something, you like something. And when somebody else doesn't like it, never, ever let somebody else take away the joy from something that you like.
That's a great point. And I was in I was commenting on a post somebody had written, and they had been the content creator was basically saying, I love this thing, whatever it was, a movie or show, whatever. And somebody in the chat was like, no, that is objectively bad. And I'm like, okay, understand, like anything that's art can't be objectively anything. Like that's not like you have lost your standing of any of this.
And people
subjective no matter what.
And that's also what people often not understand, and this is especially, I think, when you study literature. Like my girlfriend studied literature, and like there was one thing that I really learned from her when she told me that because one time I said it's like, hey, but the writer said it is that way, and see that what the writer says, it doesn't matter, because the opinion of the writer in literature is as valid as the interpretation of every reader. So it's the opinion of the writer doesn't count more than the interpretation of the reader.
Right.
And it's good because it's like, because when a story is out there, a writer basically lets it loose.
Right.
And then everybody can interpret it in their own way. And none of these interpretations is wrong.
No. You can have ill-informed interpretations where you don't understand contextually what something was, how that relates to something else, but it doesn't make your opinion wrong. It just makes, you can have ill-informed opinions about things.
Exactly.
Right? But that doesn't make the opinion wrong.
On the other hand, I only think the only wrong opinion you can have is when you try to force your headcanon on others. Like, this is the only wrong one.
Well, I think that's I don't know if you both agree, but I think that's a really big problem with fandom these days, right? If something doesn't pertain to you directly, someone's like, oh, that sucks. No, it doesn't suck. You just don't like it. Just because it's not directed at you or for you doesn't mean it's necessarily bad. It's okay for something not to be for you.
And that goes to the core of subjectivity when it comes to art, right?
Because I think most of the stories that I read aren't for a lot of people.
Uh-oh, Puff's here. We got to leave. Sean. Let's get out of here. Sean's here. Everybody leave.
Right? Well, we will start wrapping it up. We have been going for almost 2 hours.
Yeah.
It's gone by quickly, though. It's been great hanging out with you guys.
Should have put up more books.
Right?
The 22-2.
Yeah.
You'll have to check the replay. Thorsten made me cry on stream, Puff. So it was horrible. No,
it's true. Talking about barbaric, and it was just all buck wild.
Right. No. And then a blaze. Yeah.
Do you want to cry, Gary? Do you want to cry?
What are you, a little baby? All right, John.
Milk is for babies. Real men drink beer.
Right.
I'm on. I got Omni X-Men on Tuesday. I'm on No Good Comics channel, and we're talking about issue 174 of the Claremont Uncanny X-Men. We're in the Paul Smith era, talking about an underrated artist. Really great guy.
Nice. So, for underrated artists, one of my guys I always think is underrated is Mike Vosberg.
Yeah.
Who did incredible work, and you never hear him talked about.
Right.
All right. So
I think even have a Vosberg cover here somewhere.
Vosberg is just, he was great to me. So coming up this Tuesday on the 10/11, we have Izzy from Izzyverse NYC. In the hot seat with the usual suspects, we have Matthew from Comics by the Bay. And then on this Friday coming up, you can catch me on the Comic Book Crowd on Anachronic Comics channel.
Nice.
So you will see me there. Thorsten, anything coming up for you, sir?
Well, as you know, since I'm not having my channel anymore, I'm in exile. Like Carl Exile of Atlantis. So I'm basically a parasite on Sean's channel.
Right.
There we do now a Friday movie talk there. And coming Friday, we're going to talk a classic one. We're going to talk Goodfellas.
Ooh, Scorsese.
Yeah.
Nice.
Because MCU movies are just what is America, like a ride on
amusement ride,
parks, like a ride on music, like in parks, like
Yeah, I always find it weird when people who make a product bash other people who make a product. It's just, just do what you do and love, and there's no reason to put somebody else down.
The MCU can always put the MCU down. So.
They do their own work. Let them do their own work.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, they don't need any help.
Exactly. So it's like you don't have to like the MCU does a very good job in putting itself down. Like you don't need to help.
All right. On that note of negativity, guys, I want to thank John for coming on as co-host. Thank you very much, John. It was a pleasure having you on the channel again.
Of course.
Thorsten, Dude, it had been too long. It was great to hang out with you again.
Yeah,
buddy.
I have to go because I think that the men's open bodybuilding should be on soon, and then it's gonna be a long night with the finals. So I'm gonna see a lot of half naked men and women like flexing and
Sounds like a good evening.
Yeah.
Right? Thorsten's got the Coco Radiance already.
Yeah.
He won't get that reference, I don't think. But until next time, thank you, chat. We appreciate all you guys that turned out to support Thorsten and John and this channel. We appreciate you. I love doing this show, obviously.
Yeah.
Savage Side of you. I can't
maybe
believe
we
we're
can
up
maybe
to
we can go
115.
live.
Huh?
Maybe we can go live again when I send you the next AOK. Actually, I already have a few books here.
We can. I almost got yours ready. I picked up some Savage Swords for you. I got those Bloodlust, the one I showed you signed by Jusco, and so we got those going over to you.
There's also was no Jusco cover. We have to do a sequel because
Scandalous.
It's scandalous.
Right? Oh, we can do this again in another month, Thorsten. We can have you back on for another mashup. And
Awesome.
I'll invite John again. We'll keep the crew together.
Nice. I'm all in for.
But until next time, guys, thank you all very much for tuning in. We appreciate it. And until next time, keep it casual.